Xmonad 0.17 has just hit the official Arch repos, and I think that's a good opportunity to look at its new ability to natively swallow windows. What window swallowing basically does is it hides a parent process if a child process is launched out of it. For terminal emulators in particular, that means that if you launch an application out of your terminal, the terminal will be hidden and not block the screen. So let me demonstrate what the problem is. What we are looking at right now is my Alacrity terminal, for which window swallowing is not enabled, and if I launch an application like a video player out of this terminal, what we will see is that the video player starts, but the terminal is still visible and blocking half of the screen, and I cannot really get rid of this terminal. It has to be open at all times, because if I close this terminal, of course the child process, the video player, also terminates, as you can see here. Now let's look at my XFCE4 terminal, for which window swallowing is enabled. If I do the same thing here, I launch MPV, you will see that MPV launches in full screen and the XFCE4 terminal is now hidden. If I exit out of MPV by hitting the Q key, the terminal out of which the process was launched is visible again. Window swallowing of course works for most applications, but there are some limitations which are also mentioned in the official documentation of Xmonad. It in particular mentions that it doesn't work for browsers, which is true for Firefox, but not true for Chromium, as I have found. So if I launch Firefox out of my XFCE terminal here, you see that the window doesn't get swallowed, but if I do the same thing for Chromium, it does. So the terminal is hidden, and Chromium takes up the whole space. Another app for which I found that it doesn't work is SXIV, the image viewer. As you can see here, doesn't really work. But other than that, I found that it works for most every application that I generally run out of my terminal. So to activate window swallowing in Xmonad, let's go to our Xmonad config files. The first step is to add xmonad.hooks.windowswallowing to our imports. Let me zoom in a bit. And then at the very bottom of my config, I have this variable assignment, my handle event hook equals swallow event hook. And swallow event hook takes as arguments the class names of processes for which we want to enable window swallowing. I right now have the XFCE4 terminal and the Xterm terminal activated. To also add Xmonad, Alacrity I mean. Let's add a additional class name here. So Alacrity has been added. One last step is to add this my handle event hook to the handle event hooks in your main function of your Xmonad config. Save your config, exit out of it, and recompile Xmonad. Now when that is done, we need to restart Xmonad for the changes to take effect. But one thing that I have found with window swallowing in particular is that calling Xmonad with the -- restart flag doesn't do the trick. I instead have to do a hard restart by killing the Xmonad process and starting it new. So I have just restarted with the restart flag, and if I start a process now, you will see that window swallowing is still not active, which is a bit odd. So let me go ahead and do a hard kill of the Xmonad process. So here, let's kill it. And restart it again. And if I launch MPV out of my Alacrity terminal now, you will see that window swallowing works perfectly fine. So that was my little showcase of Xmonad's new window swallowing feature, and I hope you liked it. Have fun.